Here is a video request I have delayed for almost a year. Sorry about that. It is finally here, so yeah. Without further ado, let's go! Based off of Afterburner, we have a track that makes me feel like I'm in the middle of a movie. Shall I dare compare this scenario to Battleship? Ah ha ha ha. Anyway, this track is pretty fun to play and I enjoy it. It starts you off with some boosts, which leads you to a flying section. Then you'll approach a turn where nailing a nice long drift will help you move farther ahead. Then you'll get into your hovercraft and have the option of transforming into a plane earlier than you already would. To do this, you need to go off of a ramp and make it through the transform ring, which can be easier said than done if you're not used to the controls. At the end of the lap, there is a shortcut you can take, but there is a very high percentage rate that you'll smash into lots of boxes. And nobody likes that shit. The good old Shinobi stage. This track makes me kind of mad sometimes. While the track itself is gorgeous to look at, you can never judge a book by its cover. There is a water section where it can be a little tricky to avoid hitting things, especially when the huge statue guy pops up right in front of you. There are plenty of branching paths to take, which lead to plenty of areas to perform tricks at. Most of these tricks you have to time perfectly, otherwise you'll fail the stunt and everyone will zoom past you. Oh, and those grassy and dirt areas that are placed all around the track that slow you down, my response to that is, burn in hell.
Number 8.
Graffiti City. Hey, it almost rhymes! Here we have a course where you basically go parkour in vehicles. It's cool to play through, but there are so many areas to explore the first time playing that you'll be falling off figuring out where to go. There are a couple areas where it's very easy to slip off and lose precious time. Thankfully, when you get to that final lap, you start flying and it's like, yeah! No more dealing with all that driving on roofs crap! Now I can fly over all this! Fuck yeah!
Number 7.
The first lap of Sanctuary Falls consists of nothing but flying. If you don't have a mod with excellent handling, you may find yourself struggling to hit the speed boosts, let alone not running into things throughout the lap. The second lap consists of all driving, and there are quite a few turns where even when drifting, it's easy to hit a wall and slow down. The final lap is back to flying, and again, it's very tricky keeping up with getting all the speed boosts. This track is very enjoyable, but definitely a doozy when it comes to difficulty.
Number 6.
Thankfully, we don't have to fight any dragons in Dragon Canyon, because that would have made this track really hard. The first lap starts off with just driving, which is fine, but the fun begins at the second lap. This is where you'll approach a water section with lots of waves. These waves mean you'll want to do lots of stunts, but most of them just psych you out and you end up failing the stunt. The third lap is the mightiest of them all because there is so much crap to avoid. There are plenty of speed boosts, but that just makes it even more likely to hit a part of the canyon.
Number 5.
First off, the music for this track is the best in this game, in my opinion anyway. It is simply epic! So, for this stage, you are... Ride Down Lava! All credit of that goes to Egoraptor, haha. Anyway, this track is pretty damn cool and pretty damn hard. There are plenty of turns which will likely throw you into the wall. Plus, there are lots of hidden shortcuts that are difficult to find. You even have to drive through a snake! There's this part where you have to dodge 2 swinging axes, and it's so freaking annoying trying to avoid them. And did I mention there's a huge dinosaur in the lava cave? Oh my god!
Number 4.
This track gives me the chills just thinking about it. You start this track with a fork in the road, and one path allows for a little shortcut. However, missing the shortcut feels like when you miss the jump in Koopa Troopa Beach in Mario Kart 64. It leaves a pit in the middle of your stomach. That ice cave can be a real pain too if you don't have a vehicle with great handling. There are lots of areas where you can get knocked into glaciers. But finally, the part that makes this track so hard is the 3 huge turns at the end. If you can't drift, you are going to be left in the dust. Even being decent at drifting, I still have trouble with this turn at the end of the lap sometimes. This track is just a huge delusion. You start off and see all these buildings filled with pretty snow and you think of the holidays, but then you play the track and you realize you just got coal for Christmas.
Number 3.
I really don't understand the title of this track, Burning Deaths. I don't know about you, but I see a lot of water. Not fire, you know, burning and the fire thing. It's mostly water. Of course, I know the game is based off Burning Rangers, but come on! So for this track, the water level rises as you go through as each lap, and each lap gets more and more difficult as you go along. You want to be able to master the turns and drifting. This is the course where you either make it or break it. This track is good at hiding what is coming up in front of you and gives you very little reaction time as to what you need to do. This track is just full of turns, and it's a pain in the kahoonie butthole fish sticks garlic breath doo-doo. Probably the only way I could see it being put.
Number 2.
Here we have Sonic's answer to Mario Kart's Rainbow Road. They did a great job with it, I'll say that much. Instead of driving on a rainbow pathway though, you drive on these orange motherboards. A bit bizarre, I've never seen anything like it. You start off driving, and you come across very narrow paths. These paths change throughout each lap. They are very easy to fall off of if you don't drift properly. It can be so challenging to get through without falling, and that's not even the hardest part, believe it or not. Next you get to a water section, and again, the waves trick you into thinking you can do a stunt when you can't. And there are so many sharp turns to avoid too. There are these little gateways that blink blue and red. If they are blue, you can drive through it, but if they are red, you get electrocuted. It's very hard to tell when you can drive through these gateways or not, and you lose so much time getting hit by it. So, what could be more of a challenge than this stage?
And now, the number 1 hardest Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform track is...
This track, in terms of difficulty, can be described as the family bucket at KFC. It's got everything required to be the hardest track in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Ridiculously hard turns, challenging water parts, spiders that can stun you, hard to get stunts, you name it. It's all in there. It's a royal pain driving through this track. So, overall, this is a very underrated racing game. If you cats watching this are very anxious about Mario Kart 8, definitely play this game while you wait. It's only $40 and the Wii U version has the DLC free. So, for those of you that have played this game, which track did you think was the hardest? Was I accurate, or was I just flat out dead wrong? Let me know in the comments and I'll chat with as many of you as I can.